Alright, in this video we're going to change the oil in a 2015 Jeep Grand Cherokee. This is a pretty late build in the model year. Some of these had subtle differences that were made over the years. Like, for example, you see that big motor down there. This particular vehicle has electro-hydraulic power steering. So there's an electric motor that drives a pump that for power steering. Later models don't have that, they just have full electric. They also had some subtle oil filter differences. So I believe it's up to 2014, don't quote me on that, I think it's up to 2014 they had a certain style, and after that they went to a revised style. But back to changing the oil filter in this vehicle and a lot of the Pentastars, I think all of them actually, is located in the lifter valley, and you can access it from above right here. It's not a traditional oil filter element. It's not like one of those metal cans you're probably used to seeing. It's just an open element like that. So in this particular vehicle, again, some of them use a different model. This particular vehicle takes this WK part number, and WK is kind of my go-to brand for filters. WL110. So the first step is to get the vehicle good and hot. Get anything that's in the oil suspended in there, so when you pull the plug on the crankcase, it all just drains out. What I also like to do is I like to make sure that you can actually open the filler cap. No good draining all the oil out if you can't get new oil in. You're gonna have lots of problems. So I'm gonna go underneath. I'm gonna get a socket on the drain plug and pull the oil out. I believe it's a 14 in this vehicle. Minor correction, it's actually a 13 millimeter. I went under there with a 12 and a 14, and of course, didn't have the right one in my hand, so I grabbed the 13. So that right there is the drain plug. So I'm going to loosen that, and I have my drain pan ready to go. Okay, oil is draining. Obviously, make sure you have fresh oil before you do this procedure too. You can't really drive to the store without oil to buy more oil. So we'll let that drain for a couple minutes. It is already good and hot. I drove it around a bit. Drove it to the store to get some groceries. Classic grocery getter move. Maybe while this is draining, we can pull the oil filter. Alright, so we're topside again. To take that oil filter housing off, you just need a 15/16 socket on a long extension. You just fit that on there like so. Get our nice ratchet and just unscrew it. This might cause some more oil to drain into the pan, so I have the drain plug and the pan still there too. So we'll yank this out. This oil probably has about 7,000 miles on it or so, give or take. There's the old element. And you always want to replace the O-ring when you do these too. And all the kits come with a new O-ring. The O-ring is right along the edge of the housing there. Not much to it. The old element just lifts straight off. And I just like to spin it around, make sure I don't see any obvious warning signs like large metal chunks or anything in the filter. This looks pretty normal. This vehicle's got about maybe 40,000 miles on it, so it's pretty young still. Good idea to clean this out. Hit it with some simple green, some water. Just make sure it's nice and clean on the inside. Why put dirt back into the motor, right? We're draining all the oil. Alright, so I dunked that thing in the parts washer and I hit it with some compressed air to clean it off. Here's the new O-ring, so we're just going to take this old one off. Kind of a two-handed operation. Hello. See if I can do this in front of the camera so you guys can see. You can use a screwdriver, just be careful not to mar this thing up. And just like to stick a little oil on the new one. I have a little cap full of clean engine oil over to the side here. And just kind of work it on. fun to do with slippery, oily hands. Got to work it back down into that groove. Just like so. So this is ready for a new filter and to go back on the engine. Okay, got the new filter in, just pops right in. Got the O-ring at the top lubricated and the bottom one. And we just kind of screw it back into that housing down there. Some of the earlier Pentastars have been known to have oil filter housings that crack and leak. This is not one of them, but you got to be mindful of that. And just tighten it with that same 15/16 wrench. Okay, by the time you're done with the oil filter, it's time to put the drain plug back in, then we can start filling it with oil. Alright, so for oil, I just used this factory recommended Pennzoil Platinum Synthetic 5W20. I think it's 6 or 7 quarts, but you know, just fill it till it shows full in the dipstick. It's not rocket science. Mobile one's also good, but it doesn't meet that factory spec, but it's probably all the same shit. So we'll fill it up and we're done. I almost forgot the most important part, the oil life change reset. This particular vehicle doesn't have a button for that. It's some kind of wonky procedure with the gas pedal. I think you have to have it in, and then you hit the gas pedal 5 times. Let's see if that did it. There we go. So I just hit the gas pedal 5 times, and you can see that the oil life remaining is now 100%. It was like 15 or 16, so a little weird, but every vehicle's different, right? This one doesn't have a reset button.